If you're struggling with the GCSE languages, whether it might be French, Spanish, German, or any other language in between, but you still want to get a 9, you're at the right video today, because today I'll be sharing with you all 10 advanced tips on how to really get that 9 in GCSE languages 2021. So if you're interested to find out the tips, then please keep watching this video till the end. Before I like to begin with the tips, I want to make sure that you know where did I exactly get these tips from. Number one is making sure that I have conducted a really deep reflection on how I made mistakes when I was doing my own GCSE French during my GCSE years and what I wish I could do differently. Number two is making sure that I've spoken to my teachers or my sister's teachers in school, where they have actually given me tips on how to really get that 9 in terms of the different languages that you might be conducting or doing. And number three is of course based on online research. For example, you're watching as many YouTube videos as possible, reading as many blogs as possible, etc. So these 10 tips have been gathered based on all these things put together in this one video, so you can only watch this video and none of them all. And yeah, and if you're interested to find out the tips, then please keep watching this video right now. Before I begin and moving on to the advanced tips, I want to make sure that you're doing these 4 basic things already. First one is making sure that you're looking at the mark scheme, the teacher's comments, as well as any examiner's reports as much as possible and closely, so that you know which points give you the marks, as well as how to structure your answers in a way that you're going to get that 9 for sure. Number 2 is making sure that you are practicing as many past papers as possible, so that you get an idea on how to really familiarize yourself with the exam style questions and how to also conduct those exam questions in a time, condition, and manner. Number 3 is making sure that you're using as many good and free resources available online in terms of how to really revise and use as many resources as possible. For example, Quizlet flashcards, YouTube videos, free summary sheets, vocabulary notes, whatever there might be that you can find online. You want to make sure that you're using those as many times as possible as well, on a weekly basis or even a daily basis, or whenever you're actually revising for the languages, whether they might be French, Spanish, German, or any other languages. Number 4 is of course sending as much work as possible to the teachers, or showing to the teachers how much work you have actually conducted at home independently on your own, and that in that way will show that you're very serious about getting that 9 to your teachers, as well as it will improve your marks as well. So now I'm going to be moving on to the advanced tips, and for that I'll be looking at each type of papers that you'll be given in terms of how to really conduct and how you will be assessed in the exam. First paper is of course reading, which I probably think is one of the most important ones and most difficult ones as well. And for this, to revise for this one, you want to make sure that you're extending your vocabulary as much as possible by making sure that you're reading books, watching movies, and all those kind of things, and also making sure that if your examiner or exam board actually provides you with any kind of vocabulary booklet where all the words have been provided for you to really learn by heart or memorize them, etc. You want to make sure that you're downloading that as quickly as possible and start memorizing those words, so because those words are chances that they're going to be coming up in the exam, and you will be assessed based on those words as well. So if you don't know how to what a word means or anything like that, then you will be basically being stuck. And you want to make sure that you're exercising this on a regular basis using spaced repetition, which of course is one of the most beautiful and active recall techniques and strategies, to make sure that you are memorizing as many words as possible without forgetting them, and in that way it will be retained over a period of time and retaining them over a period of time as well. When it comes to the listening paper of the exam or the GCSEs languages, you want to make sure that you're listening to as many different types of sources out there. For example, you want to listen to any Spanish YouTubers, you want to listen to any movies or watch any movies, and you want to listen, basically you want to get used to people listening to people who are speaking in that language that you might be doing in the exam. For example, if you're doing French, that means that you want to be watching as many French YouTubers as possible, or watching movies that are based on French language, or you want to also make sure that you are listening to people who speak in Spanish or French or whatever that might be as many times as possible, so that you get used to and familiarize yourself with that language as many times as possible. But of course you cannot forget the past papers as well, where they actually provide you the audio, and also then you have to answer the question based on what you've actually heard in that audio. So you want to make sure that you're also practicing as many past papers as possible, so that you know exactly that in the first listening you want to make sure that you are listening to any kind of think about the topic that has been discussed in that particular audio, and in the second, whenever they give you the second time for you to really hear that audio or listen to the audio, you want to make sure that you are looking out for any kind of phrases or words that you might be familiar with, and in that way you'll be able to, and you'll definitely help you to answer the questions in the exam. Tip number 3 is making sure that in the writing exam, you want to make sure that your grammar is on point, because you want to make sure that whenever you're writing any words or any verbs, for example, you want to make sure that you're in the correct tense. For example, if it's in the past tense, then write it in the past tense, and if it's in the present tense, then of course write it in that way, and if it's future, of course, then write it in the future tense as well. So you want to make sure that you're writing the correct verbs and words, and grammar isn't actually on point, and punctuation and everything like that is on point. And at the same time, you want to make sure that and also learn as many different types of questions that are very common in that particular language. For example, how are you, why, how, what, where, when, and all these kind of words are very, very important for you to really understand, so that whenever you're writing the answers in the exam, or whenever you might be given a time condition for you to really write your essay or whatever, like I used to have, then you want to make sure that you know your tenses very well, especially, and your grammar is actually on point, as well as your punctuation, of course, and apostrophes and everything like that. So you want to make sure that everything is completely good and perfect and flawless, and in terms of grammar too. Tip number 4 is making sure when it comes to the speaking exam, you want to make sure that you're using the Google Translate as a way for you to really pronounce any kind of words in that particular language. For example, when I used to do French, GCSEs or GCSE French, I remember that I used Google Translate a lot of times to make sure that I was pronouncing some kind of words that I couldn't pronounce it properly in that particular language really well. So in that way, Google Translate has been a really good way for me to really pronounce the words really well. And also, you want to make sure that you're actually saying or repeating your exam in a way that you're actually doing in front of your family and friends as well, so that they can listen to you speaking. At the same time, if you find that it's very awkward, or you might be very shy doing that, then you want to make sure that you're actually recording yourself actually repeating those words and repeating your exam as many times as possible, and then really listening to yourself, so that you know exactly what you're saying, and if they start and it flows really well as well. So you want to make sure that this will be the tips that I would definitely recommend for your speaking exam, which is to use Google Translate for pronunciation. You want to make sure that you are actually saying your speaking exam in front of your family and friends, as well as also recording yourself and really listening to yourself speaking. Tip number 5 is making sure that you are writing any kind of wrong answers that you may have gotten when you are attempting any kind of past papers. You write these down and create a booklet of yours where you can actually write these wrong answers and write the right answers next to them, so that whenever you're practicing any past papers, whether they might be listening, reading, writing, speaking, or whatever that might be, you want to make sure that you can access this booklet and you know exactly which parts of the language that you're struggling with and you're weak with, so that you keep practicing those areas, as well as attempting the new stuff as well whenever you're attempting any kind of past papers. And you want to make sure that you're practicing those equally, so that you cannot forget the right answer anymore. So you want to make sure that you keep this booklet with you at all times, especially when you're attempting new past papers. Tip number 6 is making sure that you are actually not stressing out if you don't understand any kind of parts of this GCSE, because you want to make sure that you're not stressing over this, as when you stress, you're energy draining and you're actually wasting your time instead of actually improving your life and improving your health, as well as using your time wisely. So you want to make sure that you're not stressing over too much when it comes to you cannot understand certain words, or you cannot remember certain words for the exam, or you are actually unable to actually pronounce certain kind of words, because that will be detrimental to your performance. And you want to make sure that you're keeping your health in check as much as possible, and stress is just going to drain your energy. So you want to make sure that you're happy at all times. And as I've already mentioned before in my other GCSE videos, everyone learns at different paces and at different capabilities, and everybody takes different levels of hard work to make sure they can understand a certain thing. So you cannot be comparing yourself to other students who might be finding it this easier, because there are other things that they might be finding it really hard, for example maths, but you might be really good at maths. So you want to make sure that you're actually not stressing over this if you cannot understand something in the exam, or whenever you're actually attempting a past paper or something like that, and you're actually keeping yourself calm and in check, and keep practicing till the end. This brings me to the end of today's video. I hope you really enjoyed. I found this video really helpful for you for your GCSE languages, and I hope that you're going to be smashing those exams as well. And if you have any other suggestions on any other GCSE videos that you would like me to make in this holiday, or any kind of around the exam corner or anything like that, then please do leave them in the description box below, because I'll definitely make those videos for you. But other than that, if you know somebody who might be doing GCSE languages currently, or might be undertaking those next year, you want to make sure that you're sending this video to them, because it will show that you care about them and their level and their GCSEs and everything. And you want to make sure that you're subscribed to this channel, because I post academia, self-growth, as well as productivity videos on a weekly basis on this YouTube channel. So you want to make sure that you're notified first, and also comment down below if you have any other tips on how to really revise for GCSE languages. But other than that, I will see you in my next week's video.